Now you've heard the useful stuff for your day jobs from my colleagues about G20, SDGs, FFD, etc. I'm gonna be a bit useless, but hopefully a bit controversial. So for a couple of years now, I've been hearing, and actually I'm a bit bored already, oh, 2015 is such a big year for development. And you go to these fancy think tanks in London, ODI, Washington, Brookings institutions. You hear senior staff in the big NGOs saying, this is a big year for development. Is it? Well, when I was reading this paper, there are a number of links here. Analysis, zero-dot analysis on the Monterrey FFD conference, on Doha, FFD, civil society not impressed, civil society disappointed. Click in the link, and I said, oh dear, I've written this many years ago. It turns out that for more than a decade, I have been attending international conferences, and actually once and again been quite disappointed after the international conferences. So I guess that's what happens when you get older. You either get conservative or you get cynical. And I was like, am I getting to that point where I'm definitely not getting any conservative, so I might be getting cynical, I guess. So let me try and turn this around and move to a more cheerful, not cynical note. So what is the opportunity for 2015 besides and beyond traveling the corridors of power, which I'm not saying you shouldn't do. I think we all should do. So I think the opportunity is that people had enough. For a number of years now, we've had the final touch to a global financial and economic system which is not working. It's rigged. And people have enough. And I think Europe, which is where most of us work, I think the majority of us here, it's the battleground, the exemplification of the fact that people had enough. I think it's not exaggerated to say a specter is haunting Europe. That might sound old-fashioned communist manifesto, but I do think nowadays a specter is haunting Europe. So what is it that we have got in the last few years? I think that to many regards, to a large extent, we've won the intellectual battle. We've seen on debt management, on austerity policies, break consensus, and the consensus of the heterodox thinking. And I think that to some extent we've won the intellectual battle, but so far we keep on losing the political battle. That is the opportunity, I think. And maybe it's not for 2015, maybe 2015 it's only the beginning of the end, but I think that is our opportunity. Bottom-up mobilization, capitalizing on a lot of this content that you can see in many European countries, many other countries, but we are here that many European countries capitalize, that mobilize people. And there are two very clear things that can catalyze this discontent. One is tax. Clearly, we've made amazing progress in the last 7-8 years on tax campaigning. An issue which was marginal has become extremely mainstream. And obviously, we've worked a lot on tax transparency, tax dodging. That's great. We have to think big, next 10 years. What is the problem? There are many problems, but let me mention one. It's race to the bottom. Actually, we can't have all the transparency in the world and still push corporations to do away with corporate tax and basically do the legal thing, do the transparent thing, but still pay very little tax. So race to the bottom, as we've witnessed with labor standards, with many other things. This is a big challenge for the next 10 years. And obviously, taxing wealth, probably, but I'll leave that to Thomas Piketty. Second big issue, there are no wins yet on this issue, but I think it's crucial. We have a lot of talk on private finance. Private finance, we solve everything. And basically, this is handing over power even more to where actually power and capitalism has failed big time in the last 3 decades, if not more. So basically, what I think should be the next big campaign might sound very techy, very insider, but I think there is potential. It's a new role for public capital formation. Absolutely. Bond issuance interest rates are what, 1%, 1.2%? Capital gains around 6%? It's just a no-brainer. This should be the next big campaign. So I'll leave it here. I'll let you work out on the specifics, but let me finish on a note. I have a great colleague at ActionAid International, lots of you might have been working some years ago as well, we did work, on peak oil, the commodity crisis. So my colleague at ActionAid International says that we've reached peak plutocracy. And this is where we are. We are at the peak. So from here onwards, it can only get better. It should only get better. So yes, 2015 might be a great year for development. It might be the beginning of the end, and we can make it happen.